Hello everybody, Malekith here and welcome to Battle Cry of Freedom. In this video we're going to be introducing you to everything that is artillery in this game, along with a lot of the mechanics involved, which are quite advanced compared to some of the previous games that you may have seen in a similar genre, and cover all of the things you may need to know to take part as an artilleryman, or things to look out for if you're on the painful receiving end. Please bear in mind what you're seeing here today is a development build, and as such may be work in progress or a placeholder. Also, we have enabled the tracer lines to help assist in demonstrating to you the artillery. These would not normally be enabled in standard gameplay. So, let's get into it with a quick overview of the death dealers of this game so far. So in this first section you can see all of the spawnable artillery pieces that you can spawn from the forge. We'll cover that briefly. And just after the fence you can see the artillery pieces that will be available in more static positions created by the map makers and are not likely to be spawnable in the line battles from the spawning forge. So the first thing you're going to want to do to get yourself your artillery is spawn your artillery. So for that you want to find the forge, which will be near the spawn point on most maps. And as one of the artillery units, you want to come to the forge and push your use key. This gets you a list of all of the available artillery pieces. You can see in this case some are redded out because the available points that have been set for this event 30, and these cost 38, 40, 44. So in this way events can limit either the number or the types of artillery available to a team. In this case, we're going to spawn in a 12-pound field howitzer. So what you do is you just click spawn and one appears over there. At this point, you want to hire two burly guys to come over and push it, because currently horses are not in the game. So this is your only means of transport. You can see how that will change in the future quite easily, I should hope. And they will lug it across to where they need to take it. Once you get it in the vague vicinity, you will want to detach the two parts. From this you can see the spigot on the limber just there. And this separates it into two. And move the limber out the way. Someone will later take the ammo case off of the back, while another person sets up the gun pointing where you want it. You should see here High Lord dragging that across here nicely. So, once everything is in position, and hopefully someone gets the limber out of the way of the shot, you can go ahead and select your ammo. Opening up the ammo box, you can see you've got a few choices. We have the howitzer shell, we have the case shot, and we have the canister shot. We also have powder charges for selecting how much power you want behind your shot for ranges specifically useful on things such as mortars because of their more parabolic trajectory, but you can also use it on the flatter trajectory weapons to try and loop things over hills. We will do a demonstration of that later. You also have 4 fused projectiles such as shells, the ability to set the fuse length in seconds. Therefore you can either airburst or leave a shell landed in the ground as some sort of weird attempt at a landmine that goes off later should you wish. If we take a shell, you're then carrying it, you take it to the front of the gun, load it in. It's now loaded, you obviously now need to ram it. So you take a ramrod out of the field gun storage, and as here is shown there, ram it home. You then need to come to the rear and set the fuse. At this point you have two options. You can either fire it directly from the fuse, or you can grab the tail here, at which point you start being able to aim the gun. Now, the marker you can see on the screen at the moment is just a ray traced straight out of the end of the barrel. It is not necessarily where the shot's going to go, because that depends a lot on the distance as well as the powder selection you have made. So first person view gives you a lot more choice, and you can definitely get used to and practice using the ranging here to hit the target you are looking for. At which point you can then left click to shoot from here, or you could step out and light it from the fuse. Ready! And away it goes. You can see a bit of an airburst there. We'll look at that in more detail in the future. The other option you have, you can see here, is the worm. Now this lets you remove a shot from the barrel if you have loaded the wrong type for what the situation currently requires, because depending on how the event is set up, you may find you have very limited ammo specifically of certain types, or just in general, and so wasting a shot of the incorrect type for the moment is potentially a bigger loss than the time lost from taking out the worm and removing the shot from the barrel. You'll also notice the cannon goes backwards and must be rolled forwards back into position manually. Otherwise you will slowly creep over the back of the hill you're sat on. So, when it comes to weapon choice, one of the important things to consider is the trajectory type of your weapon. As you can see on the left here, we have a flat trajectory howitzer or cannon, and on the right we have a parabolic trajectory mortar. Now, the effects of this is particularly profound when you come to fuse selection, as we will see momentarily. As you can see, one has considerably more travel time than the other, and getting that right, along with judging distance, is a vitally important part of being an artilleryman. Okay, so now we're going to move on to demonstrating the effects of the different shots available to your weapons. Thanks to these very helpful bots taking on the role of cadets, they are going to be catching the incoming rounds. We should be able to see the effects of each shot type. We are going to be starting with round shot or solid shot. So as you can see there, the solid shot is quite capable of bouncing and will then fly through the unit and take out anything in the way. It's most effective obviously against side-on targets and will only get a few casualties in a straight-on formation such as this. Okay, next we have the Spherical shell. Now this is a fused projectile, which means you can airburst it above the unit, or if you, for whatever reason, wish to, put a much longer fuse on it and have it sit in the ground for a while. And we can see there the delayed fuse one bounced off of the ground, flew into the distance, and then exploded in the trees back here. Okay, next up we have Case Shot. Now this one you want to explode ahead of the target, as it will then spray shrapnel canister shot style into the unit, as opposed to spherical explosions. So, as we can see here, if you explode it early enough, it will then spread sufficiently and hit the unit, and in this case, the individual shrapnel also bounced off the floor, causing some significant casualties. And the next round in the list is the Percussion. So this is only available on limited weapons. Currently, that is the Parrot Rifle. This will go off on contact. So we are going to attempt to snipe out one of the nice new replacements that have filled the middle of the ranks here and show them the error of their ways. And I think, as we can see from that, a direct hit, particularly effective. And so to round out our shot type demonstration, we have roped in even more bots, pulled a cannon up close, and have loaded the canister. So this is going to be the single shot canister, and then we will move on to the double. Here comes the single effect. And now for the double shot. As you can see, a lot more shot, a lot less accurate, but if you're loading double and they're that close, you'd probably just want to plaster the vicinity. Speaking of double shot, you can also load round shot as a double shot. We will show you that in a moment. So we are taking this obscure angle for demonstrating the double round shot because it's important to note that the two projectiles don't really go the same place, and it is worth noting and showing that to you. So let's have a look. As we can see, slight deviation left to right, definite deviation in power, and one going further than the other. So choosing whether to single or double shot, it's probably better just to rely on single the majority of the time, but if you get the optimal case, you could possibly make use of double. Okay, now for something a little different. Here we have two side-by-side 12-pounder Napoleons. Aztir on the left has a 100% charged powder charge for his round shot. High Lord has a 30% charged powder charge for his round shot, and then is aiming as high as he possibly can. And we are going to see, hopefully, them both hit roughly the same place on the target, but then we can analyze the trajectories and the time taken to get there and see what you could possibly do with that. So let's get down to the target end. So as we can see here, Aztir's follows a much flatter trajectory, whereas High Lord's arcs. High Lord's did in fact drop short, but there is deviation in the shot, so it's never going to be completely accurate. But as you can see, that arc would probably allow you to drop it over a piece of scenery, such as the tip of a hill or a wall, some other thing like that. So although the powder charge is extremely important for mortars, it can also play quite a significant effect on the direct trajectory weapons like the cannons. Another interesting consideration you need to take into account is wind. So you'll see at the top on the HUD just to the right there is a wind vane. Now bear in mind that is pointing relative to compass direction. You may get a better idea of wind relative to yourself based on looking at the flags and the trees surrounding you. So as you can see, we have put a flag into shot, so you can see it is a light wind blowing from left to right across the screen. Now what we'll see is a shot taking place, and it will have very little effect on it because it's such a light wind. As we increase the wind strength, you will see the effect that can have. Now, this is something that also affects massively the powder choice you make with your artillery. A high powder shot is traveling a lot faster, it's a lot less affected, whereas a lower powder shot will curve considerably more. So as you can see from that shot, there is a slight curve on the line going to the left. What we will do now is turn up the wind and see the effect on that. So as you can both see and possibly hear, we have now whacked the wind up to hurricane strength, which is represented by the flag triangle symbol on the weather vane, and we will see how different this shot looks. Notice the significant deviation to the right this time, in line with the direction the flag was pointing. You'll note that the angle last time was right to left. That was more down to random deviation and just the bounce of it hitting the hillside. This time you could definitively see the wind effect. This will have significantly more impact on long travel time projectiles such as mortars, but it will affect pretty much everything if the wind is strong enough. The final note we will bring this video to a close with is the chance of misfires. So for every shot you put through the barrel of a cannon, if you do not scrub out the barrel with the ramrod after each fire, the misfire chance goes up. The amount depends on the weapon in question, but you can see it when you have the ramrod or a piece of ammo in your hands and you look at the barrel. You can see at the bottom the chance of misfire is 15%. Now this will increase each time it's fired successfully. However, if a misfire does occur just as the person is putting the ammo into the barrel, it will detonate, fire as if you'd actually fired the cannon, and almost certainly splatter the poor person loading it all across the wall. Seems High Lord wins the Russian roulette in this case, as to sheepishly keeping his back to the camera, as he clearly forgot to scrub out that barrel. And on that note, we'll bring the video to a close. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.